Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. So this was originally published in Swedish in 2012, and then it was translated into English by Henning Koch, and it was first published in English in Great Britain in 2014. So this is the third book that I have read by this author. The first book I read by him was Bear Town, which I absolutely loved. It is one of my best books of all time. It was one of my favourite books in the year in which I read it, and then even now it is one of my favourite books of all time. I haven't continued with the series yet, and that is just because I think I need to go back and reread the first book just so I can get the most out of the experience that I can. And then I have also read Anxious People by him, which I really didn't like. I only gave that one 2 stars, and I think it was the humour that I didn't really like. It wasn't my cup of tea, and I wasn't sure about it. So he has written a 5-star read for me, one of my favourite books of all time, and then also a book that I was a bit like, just not my thing, not really my cup of tea. So with this one, I also really enjoyed it. I've given this one 5 stars, but I will just say that I found it somewhat difficult to rate, only because I have tried to read this book previously a number of years ago, and I put it down mainly because I was finding it too difficult to read. So in this, the main character of Ove is in a very difficult mental health space. He is grieving. His wife has passed away about 6 months ago, and he is very depressed, and he is also actively trying to commit suicide, and he tries to commit suicide a number of times. So it was a very difficult read. It really deals with some really difficult, heavy themes, and reading a book where your main character is so depressed, and it is very difficult to read at times, I would say. So yeah, the last time I put it down because I was like, this is it's too unhappy and it's too harrowing, and I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to read it at the time. And I almost put it down again this time because it is really hard to read at times. But ultimately, it's not just this dark, depressing, harrowing book. It's also full of a lot of light and a lot of hope and a lot of happiness as well. So in a lot of the time, he is remembering his life with his wife, which he absolutely adored. Sounds like they had a wonderful relationship, and he was truly in love with this woman. And it sounds like, you know, everyone has their ups and downs and stuff, but it sounds like he had a brilliant marriage, and he had just a great life partner in his wife, and they sounds like they've had a really lovely time together. And obviously that makes it even more devastating that he's lost her, but ultimately there's a lot of happiness when he looks back. And then in terms of happiness going forward, he is a very lonely man. I think he's 59 years old. He doesn't have any other family. They don't have any children. He doesn't really have any close relatives or friends. I think most of his immediate family have also passed away. So he's dealt with a lot of death and a lot of grief in his time. And I think that's something he's always had to struggle with and deal with. And yeah, he's a very sad character at its heart. We also have one of the main characters of a little cat that gets introduced, which I really enjoyed the scenes with the cat. And he's also he's a very difficult man to be around as well. He's very particular, and he isn't always particularly kind to anyone, including himself. But then we have new neighbours that move in next door, and we have a woman and her husband, and they have 2 daughters, and she's a brilliant second character, and they have this kind of lovely relationship that builds between one another, that it feels similar to kind of a father-daughter relationship. And just they're always kind of there for one another, but there's their ups and downs, and you're just trying to you're just kind of following their story along, and all of the things that happen to Ove because this new woman kind of moves in next door with her family, and all of the adventures that it takes him on. And ultimately it starts as a book that is so very sad. He is trying to commit suicide in the first couple of pages, I think, and then this family moves in next door, and really they're more of an inconvenience than anything, and then ultimately it becomes more of a just like a blossoming family with each other. So yeah, I think the themes of found family are really strong in this one, which I really enjoyed. And also, just like I said, there's the themes of death, we have grief, we have relationships, we have kind of mourning a spouse, mourning parents, mourning siblings, and then also kind of finding a new lease of life with new people. And yeah, the theme of found family is very strong in this one, and kind of the theme of kind of community and neighborhood communities as well. So all the other people that live around him, there's lots of other different characters that I won't go into, but they're all kind of neighbors who live in the same little area. And yeah, just the kind of community aspect of it. And I really enjoyed that part of it. I would also say it is quite funny at times too. There's a lot of humour in this book. It's a lot of kind of dark humour at times, and a lot of kind of like sarcastic kind of humour, because that's the kind of man he is, I would say. But yeah, there's quite a few times when this book is actually quietly very funny. So you have a lot of difficult times, a lot of kind of quietly funny times, and also just kind of uplifting, lovely, happy. So it really does cross a real range of emotions when you read this story. And yeah, the themes, obviously, he's only 59 years old, but he reads a lot older, I would say. He reads more in his 70s or 80s, I would say, just from my personal opinion. And it definitely looks at kind of loneliness and aging and those kind of themes as well. And like I said, the themes of kind of community and friendship is lovely too. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading more books by Fredrik Backman. I definitely, as I said previously, want to reread Bear Town and then continue with the series, because I own all of the books in the series, but I haven't read them. So yes, I will need to read Bear Town soon. And there's a couple of other books by him that I really want to read that I also own. I think one of them is Brit Marie Was Here, and I think the other one is My Grandmother Sends Her Regards and Apologies, which I want to read soon too. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a good book. I am giving it 5 stars, even though there was questions about my star ratings, just because, yeah, like I say, if a book can make me feel so much for a character that I'm sitting in my chair crying for them, crying for multiple characters, then yes, it's made me feel something, and I think it is worthy of a 5-star. And it was nice to read one of my more backlist books, because obviously this one was originally published in 2012, so that was, you know, over like 12 years ago. So it was definitely nice to read one of my older books on my shelves. I have had this one on my bookshelves for a while, so it was really nice to kind of work through some of my backlist ones. And there's definitely more backlist ones by Fredrik Backman that I want to read, as I said. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I would highly recommend it if you were in the right headspace to read it, and you know, you feel able to read it. It was a good book, and I did enjoy it. I would say I haven't enjoyed it quite as much as Bear Town. Out of the 3 books I've read by him, that is one of my favourite books of all time. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. If you have read it, I would love to know your thoughts on it down in the comments below. If you haven't read it yet, then, you know, but you fancy reading it, definitely let me know that too. Otherwise, if you've read some of the other books by Fredrik Backman, which I haven't read, definitely let me know which ones you like most, which one you think I should read next. And yeah. So thank you so much for watching. If you've liked this video, please do like it. And if you'd like to hear more of me talking about books, please do subscribe. I'll see you in my next one.